Hey guys, so PCS season is like right around the corner, thank goodness. Lists are dropping like crazy. Ours dropped on Monday, and today I'm making a video talking about what to look for when choosing a base. So some of these are gonna sound really dumb to some people, and some are gonna be like, oh my gosh, I never even thought about that, but that's a good thing to think about. I wish so badly that Jake and I would have made his last dream sheet together, but unfortunately he had made it prior to us getting engaged, and then we couldn't revise it, so what was done, and it wouldn't have been a big deal, but we ended up somewhere that I would not ever choose to come again. Just so you guys have a little bit of a background, Jake and I met when he was commissioning to become an officer. He was enlisted 9 years prior to becoming an officer. We're stationed in Aviano, Italy right now, and he is deployed. So we got our list on Monday and he deployed the very next day. So we went ahead and got all of our wants put together in a spreadsheet and made our dream sheet. But these are the things we looked for. The first thing we looked at was Jake's career progression. He is a lifer. We only have 8 years left after we go back, well, hopefully go back to the States before he can retire. He may go longer, he may not, but for sure we have 8 more years. So we wanted to definitely look at his career progression to see what he needed to do in order to further his career in that 8 or so years. The second thing we looked at was location, location, location. And for some of you who are so free-spirited, I know that you can just be like, oh my gosh, Hawaii sounds cool, Aviano, Italy sounds cool. Like, let's throw them in a hat and just draw them out and we'll rank them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For some people, that is great. In fact, I have a friend who lives here and they write down a list of places they want to go and put them in a ball cap and draw them out, and that's where they go for like spring break or Christmas break. Super fun to do when you're going on vacation, but if you're going to be living somewhere for a couple of years, you may want to put a little more effort into it. So we're in Italy right now, and Jake is an avid hunter, and I am someone who likes rodeo, and I like to be outdoors, and I just like animals in general, and this is not the place for that. So when you're looking at location, look for things that are in that location. Does it have your hobbies? Are you a shopper? Does it have the places you like to shop? Is there something you can do with the kids if you're a family person? Italy is not so incredibly family friendly, and we had our first daughter while we were stationed here, and it is definitely not a place I would want to have another baby. A couple other things with location. Oh, I have the notes in my phone. My phone just shut off. Are the schools. Schools are so important, and I think it's something that a lot of people think about, but then some people are like, oh, well, every place has schools and all schools are about the same. That is so unbelievably not true. I hate to say this, but we are going to be very, very picky about the schools that we put Macy in, and if she was school age where we are right now, I would end up homeschooling her because I do not like the one and only school we have to choose from here, which is the DoD school. A lot of them are super, super great. I just don't particularly enjoy this one. And there's only like 4 teachers. So I guess if she had a really great teacher, I wouldn't mind it as much, but I would want her to have a really great teacher every year. And they're just really limited on what they can do here because there's so many contract rules and restraint rules. Italy's kind of a crazy place. Super great for a lot of people, but crazy for us. The other thing you want to look for in that location is jobs. If you're a spouse and you're wanting to work, you definitely want to know if they have something in your career field or something that you would maybe be interested in doing while you're stationed there. That's something I never really thought about. I'm a teacher, and I was young and naive and was like, oh, I can teach anywhere. Even if I'm just subbing, like I can teach anywhere. That is not always the case. So that's definitely something you want to look into. And my last thing for location is weather. Florida was one of the places. That's my French bulldog. She makes some real weird noises. Millie, what are you doing? Millie. Oh, she's eating a bone. Millie. She does this all the time. I'm so sorry. Hey, I'm making a video. You nasty. She like tries to swallow it and then she won't want to swallow it and she'll puke it back up, and she does it with her food. We've taken her to the vet for it and they said it's fine and it's something that some dogs just do. But she's psycho. But anyways, so the last thing is weather. So Florida was on ours, on our sheet that dropped, and it did make it to one of the slots on our dream sheet because our list wasn't that big. We had like 15 bases to choose from. So one thing about Florida is I loved the housing, but the weather is a struggle for me. I know it's going to be super, super humid there if we get it, and I don't know how I would do with the humidity. So I can guarantee that it was not at the top of our list. So it was on the list, but not at the top. I'm going to make another video about what we selected when we get our new assignment, just so that way you guys know what places each one was in. But I want it to be a surprise for some people in our family, so I'm not going to say everything that was on our dream sheet. The next thing is housing. Whether you want to rent or buy, you should make sure that there's housing that you like. That's another downfall to where we've been the last 2 years. I am super picky. One second. Millie's just dying to be in this video today, apparently. I'm super picky about housing, and I never want to live in another house ever again that doesn't have closets or adequate storage for things. I was one of those people that was like, oh, you make the best of it. Houses are houses. They're everywhere. You know, no big deal. After I became a mom, my mindset definitely changed. I feel like we have so much stuff and nowhere to put it. And our house is definitely pretty dang small. So that's another big one for me. If you're looking at buying a house, you want to make sure that the housing market is stable. You definitely don't want to be buying a house somewhere where you could end up being stuck with it a couple years after you PCS and not being able to purchase a new home. That is something we want to do. We definitely want to purchase a new home at our next duty station, but depending on where it is, we may change our minds on that. I will say we wanted Hawaii to be one of our next duty stations. It was not on our list. It was on the previous list, but it wasn't on this list. And if you are someone who is wanting to make an extra income after getting out of the military, I would highly suggest this. If you can get some places that are hot spots for vacations, such as Honolulu, Hawaii, even though the housing is super expensive, your BAH covers a large portion of it, and we were looking at getting a condo just so we could rent it out while we were stationed at a new duty station, or do like an Airbnb sort of thing. So when we get out of the service, we had somewhere where we could go vacation, and we dang near owned the home. One of the big reasons for that is A, to make extra income, and B, I have a really large family. I'm the middle of 5, and I would love us all to be able to go on a vacation like that, and there's no way my family could afford to go on a vacation like Hawaii. We're from Idaho, so no one could afford to fly to Hawaii and then everyone purchase rooms. We all have kids dang near, so if we owned a home, it'd just be awesome that we just have to get airfare and then like have a cool family vacation. So just things to think about like down the road. And I know that's way down the road, but it'd be really cool if we could do that for our families. So I have to watch this dog. She's so crazy. Millie, do you see yourself? Look, who's that? Is that Millie? Would you like to get down? She normally naps when Macy's napping, and she's just wild today. Like, she does not want to go to sleep. Anyways, now that I got off on my little tangent, the next thing I want to talk to you guys about is pets. So when we came to Italy, we totally planned on bringing our 2 other dogs. We have a golden retriever mix and a black lab, and they are both huge. And I know I'm going to get some backlash for this if any of you are really into animal health. My dogs did not weigh this much when we left. This is what happens when you leave them with grandma and grandpa. But our golden retriever weighs 109 pounds and our lab weighs 98 pounds. It was going to cost $10,000 round trip to bring them here and then send them back because they were too large to go on our plane, so we had to get a shipping company, which we were planning on doing. Luckily, my husband had came before me and found out that it is very hard to find housing with pets. So wherever you're going, if you plan on bringing your animal, I would definitely look into the pet situation. Are you going to be able to find some place that allows pets if you're renting? If you're living on base, you want to make sure that they have base housing that allows your type of pet. We have another friend who has a pit bull mix, and she is the sweetest dog. And they were having a really hard time. She's 11 years old this year, and they were having a really hard time finding a airliner that would bring the dog over here because pit bulls are part of the banned breed. So that's just something you want to think about. Millie's also part of that banned breeds that are banned breeds. Yeah, banned breeds. Millie. So that was something we looked at when we bought her. Luckily, she's small enough that she can ride in the cabin with us, so it's a $200 flat rate both ways. She is nuts. So that's something you definitely want to take into consideration if you're a big pet person. I would like to have horses at our next base, or sheep or cows, or really any type of livestock. So that was one of the big things for me, is to look at things, or look at bases that we could get a house with some land where Macy could do like 4-H or FFA. I was an agriculture teacher, and I literally want all the animals. I want pigs, I want horses, I want cows, I want it all. So I just really need a place with lots of space, and that is really hard to do when you're in the military, and it probably is not going to happen until we get out, but one can only dream. Okay, the next big thing I think you should look for, and this was not a big deal for us when we came over here. Like I said, we were single. Well, we weren't single, but we didn't have any kids yet. Your support system. It was so incredibly hard to have a baby overseas and to be away from our families. Just when you're in the thick of it, if you need to go to the grocery store and your spouse is at work and you're at home with the kids and you're 2 weeks postpartum and you just need a break, you don't have anyone to turn to when you're overseas like this. I mean, some people have close friends that they could call, but I'm not one of those people. And I also don't like to put people out. I hate asking for favors. So that was a really hard thing for us. The other hard thing is when you're getting ready to celebrate big events, when it's Christmas, when it's their first birthday. And I know that that sounds so dumb because they're not going to remember their first birthdays, but I was so emotional for Macy's first birthday because I wanted to have like a family barbecue, and we don't have any family here. So it was just Jake and I know that it's fine, and I know like in the long run it's not going to affect anything, but just know that if you're one of those people that want to be close to your family and you're wanting to start a family, that's something that you should look for at your new base, to see if it's easy to get to for them, or if it's, you know, a 20-hour plane ride, stuff like that. The last thing on this list, and this sounds so stupid, I know, and when I was writing it, I was like, should I talk about this or should I not? And that's people you've worked with, bosses or former staff that you've had. There is a certain person here that a lot of people have not gotten along with, and he is definitely one of those that is in it to win it. He's in for himself, and that's all he cares about, and that sucks. It sucks so bad, but there's going to be those kinds of people throughout your career, or your husband's career, or wife's career, that you're going to run into that just make everyone's life kind of a living hell. I would highly suggest you make sure that these people are not going to be at the next bases that you're putting down. And I hate to like end the video on that note, because it's such like a sour, like, no one wants to think about that. No one wants to think about like that kind of conflict, but it's just something you need to think about. No one wants to be somewhere and their life be made miserable for another 2 years because they have to work with someone that they dreaded working with every day for the last 2 years, you know? So good luck on those duty stations. Good luck on picking a new duty station, and I hope y'all get one that you really, really enjoy.